say. There's them old and new. News from abroad is her.
Hey everyone, this is Tammy Pescatelli, and we're here with news from abroad. I do this every week based on my column in the Weekly World News, the world's only reliable news source, and I do it every week with two of my favorite comedians, Ray Zawadney and Colin Chamberlain. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hey, Tammy.
Hey, I said hi, guys, which I promised I would never do in a podcast. We're having fun. People are liking this, you know.
Yeah, I've been seeing us get some love on Twitter. It's been nice.
We'll see what happens. Are you familiar with this?
Yeah, I am. We used to play this when we were kids.
Awesome. Well, we'll get right into it. And Bloody Mary food delivery. Ghost adapts to the pandemic. Bloody Mary, the legendary ghost that slumber parties and teenage makeout sessions have long speculated about, is in fact not only true, but the specter has decided to start her very own food delivery service.
It's like DoorDash, only instead of downloading an app, say my name 3 times into a mirror and I will appear. Then I'll take your order and be back within 40 minutes or less.
Said Mary Worth, the recent entrepreneur's real name. Originally conjured to tell the truth, the ritual of Bloody Mary consisted of being in a dimly lit or dark room and chanting the ghost's name into a mirror. The number of times varies, as does the actual name to chant, but the end result was supposedly the same. Bloody Mary would appear.
For about longer than I care to remember, every time a group of teenagers or college kids sneak some alcohol and want to scare someone into their arms so they can get lovey-dovey, I somehow get pulled into their debauchery. It's like, go into the bathroom, look into the mirror, blah, 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 blah. Have to show up whenever anyone calls. Like I don't have a life.
Apparently, the tough economic times hit not only this world, but the spiritual world as well. Downtrodden financial situations prompted this modern-day haunting in food service.
Quarantine has really cut down on get-togethers, so my numbers went down too. Who can get by on the new capacity laws? The more people have been laid off and afraid of dying from the flu, the less they have the need to be scared by phantoms. Why, just the thought of the upcoming presidential election is enough to make me get the heebie-jeebies.
The former Mrs. Worth told News from Abroad exclusively that she feels real life, the way it is now, is so scary for the masses that it is slowly putting the supernaturals out of business. So how does a centuries-old phenomenon stay relevant? Well, like any other modern woman of this era, she plays to her strengths and targets her demographic.
I needed to come up with something I know. I first thought, bathrooms? But don't get me started on how many disgusting bathrooms I have seen. I may not have a solid body, but my sense of smell is intact. If I had the stomach for it, I would have started a cleaning service.
It has been said that ingenuity plus work plus courage equals miracles. Well, the Bloody Mary food delivery service is nothing short of miraculous.
I thought, why not? You don't need internet service. I can take the order in person and get it right back to you. No mistakes. Ever giving your neighbor your food or eating some of your French fries? Ghost, get it? We don't eat.
Her tagline is Bloody Mary food delivery service. We used to want to give you a good scream, and now we just want a nice yelp. Update to this reporter has found out that Bigfoot Hooker is currently trying to raise funds for her own franchise.
Yeah. You're trying to get me in touch with my feminine side, and I appreciate it.
Well, I love it because I'm trying to actually say something within them, even though I'm trying to be silly and it's Bloody Mary. But capacity laws have really affected no one more so than us, comics.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy.
You know, so I'm like, okay, we have to kind of think on our feet and, you know, courage plus ingenuity. And, you know, maybe we would be doing a delivery service where I was thinking maybe I'll start one. I'll bring your food and tell you a joke at the same time.
Yeah, how come no one has done like door-to-door comedy, which is basically what they're doing in New York. They're just going to picnics and parks and people's rooftops and attacking them with comedy.
I had this idea a long time ago. I wanted to do drive-through comedy. Just like people would come up, and I thought it would be a great way to raise money for something. You know, you get to pick whether you want a open micer, an MC, a feature, or a headliner to show up. And depending on, like, it's, you know, $1 for an open micer, $5 for an MC, 10 for a feature, and 20 for a headliner to come over and tell you a joke. And it would raise money for stuff. And I should have done it because that's the new comedy club, basically. So what about this Bloody Mary thing? I mean, you know me, I don't really take to dive into the supernatural, but I think we all did play this at least at what time, or you heard about it when you were a kid, like 7th, 8th grade, 6th grade at a party, right?
Well, yeah, everybody, like, crazy stuff happened when you played that game, though, because people were going and spinning in circles in a dark bathroom. So people were getting hurt. I'm like, oh my God, that was Bloody Mary. I was like, no, we're 12 and you're clumsy and you tripped over a toilet in the dark.
Like, we'd play this game, and then, you know, there would always be one person be like, did you hear that? And then everybody starts hearing things. You're like, I definitely heard that. I heard that too. And by the end, you're so convinced that somebody is like possessed that you're not even having fun anymore. Like, me, it was just like, okay, well, someone's going to get murdered, I guess.
So apparently it started years ago, as they all do. It was how a woman would figure out who her husband would be. And so she was supposed to take a hand mirror and walk backwards up steps to see. And by the time she'd get to the top, the picture of her husband would be in the mirror. But I mean, I don't know if it worked or not, but it's just so crazy because, like, of course, she probably fell down the steps. How many of them probably tripped? They all had long dresses walking backwards up the steps. And then they said that there's a lot to, you know, nowadays where it's evolved, the different names. I believe in Mary Worth. There's Bloody Mary. There's all these other things that people, it's psychosomatic. So you see what you want to see. Like you're saying, Colin, you hear what you want to hear. People would say they would come out with scratches.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That would make for a way more entertaining Maury paternity test episode. Yeah. Megan, walk backwards up the steps with the mirror and let's see who the father is.
I don't know.
I don't really like any of that stuff. Like Ouija boards. Did you do that's the same thing where you start seeing what you want to see and you start like pressing it to where you want to press it. And you know, I was always pushing the Ouija boards to like nice and polite. I'm trying to spell nice words. And, you know, my friends were like, Satan. You know?
It's so crazy. Yeah, I was always afraid of these. There was another one we did. I don't know if guys did this as much, but girls used to do light as a feather, stiff as a board. Right?
I remember
you guys
that.
Did this?
Yeah.
Where one person would lay down and then they'd all chant light as a feather, stiff as a board. You put 2 fingers underneath and then you'd go to raise that person. It's anybody, if you each have the same pressure at the same pressure points, you can raise somebody if you have enough people. But the hard part that I realized is like, they had you stiff as a board means you're dead. Like I had no idea. Like all these are like witchcraft light kind of things. What'd you say?
I said I was a chubby kid, so the supernatural never lifted me when we played that game.
Both the guys were like, screw this kid.
the poor guys was like, no, he's heavy as hell. We're good.
Come on, chubby.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what it's like, I'm not out in blood. Lose weight, chubby. But what were you going to say? Colin, you were saying something?
I was just saying, like, it's funny, like, those were the games you played as a kid, and now it's like the suffocating game where a kid sits on your chest. You know, I don't know what's better. Is it better to dabble in the dark arts or eat a Tide Pod, you know?
There were a list of games that for over the years people used to play. There was Hiding Hitler, where one person was like a bad person. It was like in Wikipedia under party games. Hiding Hitler.
God.
There was a game called Scissors. I'm like, like scissors? Okay, that's a different one.
Yeah, don't Google that. Don't Google that game.
Right. I mean, of course, there was always like red light, green light, and things
that's
like that.
one. Can you see some guy like, it's so PC these days, 2020, you probably can't even play Hiding Hitler anymore.
Like, okay. I'm like, how does that work? Like, from what I'm understanding, Hiding Hitler was like hide and go seek. Whoever is it is actually Hitler. But that's not something we're going to be, I mean, pin the tail on the donkey seems mean enough.
Yeah.
It's so funny. It's like someone had to pitch that game. Someone had to be like, all right, so I got this game, and that's kind of like we're going to look for somebody, and so what do you call it, like search or like go seek? Like, I don't know, I think Hiding Hitler. There's just something about that name. And then all the other kids were like, okay, well, we can't hang out with you anymore. Like, and then there's a point where like that game stops. Like where one kid comes home and their mom's like, what have you been up to? And like, I was just playing Hiding Hitler. It's like, all right, well, we're moving, we're changing.
I found the list of the games. Here's some. They play psychiatrist. I guess, I don't know what that is. Maybe tell your deepest problems. There's a whole bunch. Never Have I Ever, which a lot of people have played. Spin the Bottle, Squeak, Piggy Squeak, which is, I think, Deliverance. I think that was the Deliverance movie. Priest of the Parish, which is probably something. I mean, some of the names of these. The Resistance, that's the Bill Cosby game. I don't understand these. Couch of Power, that's the Harvey Weinstein game. I think these are all based in the same theory.
Yeah. Weinstein just never quit playing that game. That's crazy.
7 Minutes in Heaven. I guess that's when you go and you make out in a closet. I don't know about that.
I never played that.
Yeah, that's me either. We did play Spin the Bottle.
Yeah.
Which was different too in my generation. If it landed girl to girl or guy to guy, you didn't make out with that person. And now those rules have changed. You just make out with everybody, which is a little greedy.
I remember like my 13th birthday. It was like the first co-ed birthday party. I think I was going, it was my buddy's 13th birthday. It was the first co-ed birthday party I ever went to. And I was so against it. Like, he was my best friend, and I was like, "Why are you inviting these dumb girls? Like, what are we gonna do?" He was like, "We're gonna have a bonfire." I was like, "And do what? Sit around?" Like, everybody was just covered in Axe body spray. It was a miracle no one caught on fire.
Did you get to make out with somebody then?
No, I don't know if we have time for it, but it was a bit of a disaster because he. All right, so I'll keep it brief. So my best friend to this day had his birthday. He's an October baby, so he always had like a Halloween themed birthday. So he had a big bonfire at his aunt's house, and his uncle like came storming through the woods in like a Jason mask, like the hockey mask. And to like scare everybody. And I got up and threw one of the girls on the ground and then ran away. And it was supposed to be like, I don't know, it was supposed to be like a moment of like chivalry, or like everyone gets scared and then we all, our hormones are rushing. But my fight or flight kicked in and I was all flight. Like, I was just, I literally threw her on the ground, like knocked over 2 chairs, and then ran into the street. And like the parents were like, "All right, hey man, you gotta."
Did you make sure to run all the way home and not go back to that party?
I should have. And they were like, I mean, Jason's wearing a Yingling t-shirt. Didn't you recognize him from earlier? It was a disaster. I never lived it down either.
Oh, God. Stay tuned. So this is the segment that we call Frighteningly Funny, because as comedians, we do a lot of traveling, and sometimes we come across some creepy or a little bit unnerving paranormal type stories. This week I have with me a very good friend of mine, the hilarious Brad Upton. Hi, Brad.
Yay, thank you very much. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So you said that you had a couple of very interesting stories. I'd love to hear about them.
Yeah, I have a couple of them. The house I live in right now, the one I'm sitting in right now, I've owned for 24 years. When I bought it, I knew that I bought it from a man whose wife had passed away and he had 2 daughters. I knew that. That's all the circumstances. They were like 5 and 7 years old or something. And then I found out later, after this story happened, that she had passed away in my house. She died in my house unexpectedly. But anyway, so I'm in the house. I've only been in the house, a couple of months. My daughter was a newborn. My son was about 2.5. I'm up late one night. I'm watching Letterman. At the end of my hallway, there's 3 bedroom doors. My bed, my wife and I's bedroom, and then the 2 kids. Mm. And I sat up. I went, there's someone down that hallway. There's someone down that hallway. And so I walked down the hallway right there at the spot where all 3 doors open into the bedroom door. I went, oh, there's something right here. And I stepped back. It wasn't scary.
Sure.
But there was something there. And I went, whoa, this is weird. And I kind of thought, this is the lady that still lives here. I mean, that used to live here.
Like it just popped in your brain.
Yeah, and I don't know why I knew that. I just knew that. And so I just stood there for a minute and I backed off and I walked down the hallway and it kind of went away. So 24 hours later, same scenario. My kids are asleep. My wife's asleep. I'm up watching Letterman. I go, oh, she's back. And I got up and I literally walked down the hall. I go, oh, she's right here. And this is the lady that used to live here. And she's looking in these 2 bedrooms for her daughters. Where I'm the new owner of the house. My 2 kids are in these same 2 bedrooms where her 2 daughters used to be.
Right.
And I went, oh, she's right here. And I said out loud, your family doesn't live here anymore. There's a new family in this house. And it went away. And it never came back.
Oh my God.
But I'm telling you, I knew exactly who she was and what she was there for. And I don't know what told me that.
You just felt it.
24 years after it happened, I got goosebumps on my arm. I know. And I'm telling you, she was there. She was there looking for her daughters, kind of wondering where are they, what happened to them.
Yes, like she was their guardian angel.
Right. Absolutely. And as soon as I said, they're not here anymore, there's a new family in this house, went away and it's never returned. And I'm telling you, my kids were tiny. I did not tell them that story until they were both at least in high school. I didn't want them to freak out. I didn't want to tell my little kids, hey, there was a ghost in the house.
That's a good move. That's a good story to tell them when you want them to move out.
Right, exactly.
I remember hearing about Ernest Hemingway. They said his house was haunted by the ghost of his daughter. And I'm like, even when they die, they don't move out?
Say, there's them old and new. News from abroad is her